you love me. Hope you had a nice Thanksgiving. I know I did. Those New York pigeons are actually pretty tasty. Now, since it's a holiday weekend, I thought we'd keep things nice and light. So let's talk about the death of Western civilization. It's in trouble, people. Yeah, things in the West these days are about as stable as Chris Christie on an exercise ball. Sadly, most people either don't realize it or they just don't care. Well, for anyone who doesn't care, trust me, you're going to care soon enough, because the guardian of Western values has always been America. But now, not so much. Let's face it, we're a nation that melts down if our smartphone runs out of power. So look around yourself, especially at our young people. You see a nation capable of standing up for itself, especially when it's run by a guy who literally can't stand by himself? Do you still think we're capable of safeguarding the system that has cured more disease, created more wealth, and lifted more people out of poverty than any in human history? Or do you see a system obsessed with dividing us based on grievances and pronouns? Do you see leadership capable of protecting Western values? Hell, under these a-holes, we can't even protect deodorant and toothpaste at a CVS, let alone Western civilization. Now we got societal decay plus tooth decay. Like I said, we're in more trouble than Dana trying to reach a doorknob. I know. Now, before you accuse me of being too pessimistic, let me just say the West has been tested before and we've come through. Remember the movie 300 in 480 BC? That's before cable, Dana. A small band of Greeks held off the Persians invading from the east. No wonder they're so good at running a packed diner. But Greek civilization survived, and their ideas of democracy and rights became the foundation of Western society. Plus, they gave us Kojak. More recently, in 1940, when it looked like the Nazis could take over all of Europe, it was the British who stood up to them alone. Sound familiar to what Israel's doing right now, doesn't it? Meanwhile, the French bent over so fast, they strained their croissants. When the main British army was surrounded at Dunkirk, Winston Churchill gave one of the great speeches of the 20th century, rallying his nation. So the Brits used anything that could float to evacuate their boys across the Channel. England survived until America entered the war, and the West tradition of freedom was rescued again. Compare that to the American evacuation from Afghanistan, which made Dunkirk look like a cruise on Royal Caribbean. Here's our Winston Churchill today.
Yeah.
Our only hope would be if the enemy died laughing. Churchill said, "We shall fight them in the streets," and we have a president who keeps losing his fight with gravity. Then there was the Cold War. It was, of course, Republican Ronald Reagan who told the Soviets in Berlin this.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
When the wall and Soviet communism fell, our president didn't. The West survived once again. For the hosts at MSNBC, however, that day is still known as Black Thursday. The point is, there are moments in history where things hang in the balance. And when these moments come, it takes courage, it takes resolve, and it takes leadership to stand up for our way of life. Doesn't it feel like we're in such a moment? The problem today is the enemy's within. Right now, Hamas is guilty of killing 32 Americans and holding at least 10 more hostage. Yet across the country, in Dem-run cities and colleges, Hamas are the heroes. Can we look this challenge in the eye and face up to it? It's no accident that on our campuses, among the critical race theorists and within the legacy media, Israel was cast as the aggressor almost before the first female raver was raped and murdered. Because to a generation of young Americans subjected to an education system borrowed from the Soviets, Israel's main crime is being too successful, too modern, too Western, too much like us, the real oppressor. So how far has it gone? Well, the new trend among American women advocating for Hamas is adopting Sharia law, which would put them back in the dark ages. They're even wearing the niqab. Let's hope this catches on at The View. But I'm sure these women are still counting on us to pay off their college loans, since I doubt the Taliban will pick up the tab for their degrees in women's studies. So why is the most successful nation ever, the guardian of the most successful civilization ever, choosing to destroy itself from within? Well, put simply, because it can. It's almost out of boredom. Here's a sports analogy. The U.S. is like a football team up by 35 points in the second half, and they start putting in scrubs and playing that damn prevent defense, and suddenly they're losing. Our elites don't have to worry about enough food or a warm bed, as they've replaced patriotism with a punitive ideology directed inward. We have a generation that sees everything through the lens of power, and it's infecting everything. Each relationship is now seen through the filter of the oppressed versus the oppressor. And you know what side they put you on. Now they got the kids, who are so desperate for relevance and identity, they'll take on any pose to convince themselves they're cool. And hating America is their definition of that. Is there hope? Sure. As I've said, that West has come through before, but it's going to take effort. We're pretty short on Churchills and Reagans as we overdose on AOCs. So if you're a parent, think hard about where your kids are going to school. Make sure they understand that America is unique in history, and so are the achievements and the freedoms of Western civilization. Because if you leave education to the teachers' union, the college professors, the shrieking non-binary activists, when the time comes, don't expect the West to be rescued again. This time, there's a good chance America won't be coming. Let's welcome tonight's guest. This is her last gig before she returns to work at Santa's Workshop. Co-host of America's Newsroom and The Five, Dana Perino. His Anthony Fauci impression is so good, it'll make you sick. Actor and stand-up comedian Tyler Fisher. She loves to surf and defend American turf. Fox News contributor Tulsi Gabbard. And some say he's too handsome to be a comedian, and by some, I mean me. Comedian Jeff Dye. Dana, how's that for an upbeat Friday monologue, huh?
It's pretty good. I read a whole article in the New York Times this weekend, though, about how being hot in comedy is becoming a thing.
Yes, it is.
I don't know.
I wouldn't know.
Saw that.
I wouldn't know either.
I think, okay, but seriously, I think that you are hitting the nail on the head. One thing that's curious is, young people usually like to rebel.
Yeah.
And so if they were rebelling against people who are teaching them this nonsense, they would become ultra patriotic.
Right.
They'd be like super MAGA and like wearing, flying the American flag. Right?
Just to piss off their parents and their teachers.
Exactly.
But what if they don't even have that anymore? What if we've killed the rebellious spirit?
Maybe we have. I do think that it's shocking, these young women who think that they would be better off as Muslims. I mean, there's a lot of them. We might be better off because the roads would be safer.
A sexist would say.
Hey, she said it.
She said it. Hey. That's called a joke, America.
Hey, I like this lady. Yes.
I have a feeling Nick
not
DiPaolo gave
smart.
you that joke.
I don't know of whom you speak. I think about these young women, like if they were in Israel, they would be in the reserves. They would be called up to fight for their country.
Yeah.
Instead, they're figuring out, they're fighting. They have this whole thing on social media. They're fighting with the hijab to try to figure out how to put it on.
Yeah.
And then they have online, they're like, oh no, here, do it this way, sweetheart. Like, you're really gonna love, I mean, do you remember when we were in the 70s, you had to go to these classes to avoid going into like weird memberships of things?
Yeah.
Right, apparently they don't do that any longer.
No. In fact, they push you right in. Tyler, what do you think? This is such a setup. What do you think Trump would say regarding the death of Western civilization? Would he think he could save it?
Well, first, I'm wondering if Dana was talking about me being the hot comedian or Jeff. I'm still.
Definitely.
And beards are in, dude.
Jeff's just taller, hotter, me without a beard. So.
Yeah.
Frankly, I think he would say, excuse me, Greg, I would think he would say, we have to get back to the American flag because, no, think of it. I walked down the street, I saw rainbow flags and the flags of other countries, right, Jeff? Other countries. And I thought, no, frankly, Dana, and Dulcie, if an alien landed in New York City, they'd think they landed in gay Ukraine, frankly. Right? Where are we? We don't even know where we are. We're all mixed up.
Everyone has the same rights, right?
Yeah.
And I really am tired of seeing this flurry of flags. And at this point, I think it's whoever has the most colorful flag gets the celebratory, march.
Yeah.
Palestine's got a lot of colors on their flag.
That's true. We only have 3. We got to do better.
Racist.
Yeah, we're racist.
3 racist colors, the most racist colors.
Exactly. Tulsi, welcome back. Am I being too pessimistic? Are you optimistic?
Not quite.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be in the positive spirit here, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, to be grateful for all that we have. But I think your opening was very clear-eyed. I think what's interesting here with all of these American women now converting to become Muslim, it's kind of the latest iteration of, well, how do I get that rebel, super so-called progressive street cred immediately? Especially if they're white, they can't become black. People have tried that before and failed.
Yeah.
It's coming.
So for them to go and say, okay, well, now I'm going to be a Muslim, then they get rid of all of their white guilt immediately. They get rid of all that white privilege that they were born with, the things that they're struggling with, trying to deal with, and immediately become those revolutionaries that they seem to be seeking. But at the same time, as you pointed out, Dana, not really seeming to understand at all what it is they are claiming to become, nor the terrorist, radical Islamist ideology that terrorist groups like Hamas espouse and are trying to spread.
There is no Real Housewives of Palestine. What are they going to watch? What are they going to watch? What am I going to watch?
I'd watch that, though.
I would definitely watch that, Jeff. You and I would watch it together. Is this typical? Like, I could see somebody looking at this and go, this is typical hand-wringing from a silver fox, an older dude looking down at the generations. Nobody even said, yeah, Greg, you're a silver fox.
I agree.
Shut up, everybody.
I was nodding. I said, heck yeah.
What's your take on this?
I mean, it's laughable. I can't even, every time it got brought up, it made me giggle. Just the young women. I went through the Me Too movement as a bro. I'm a straight white guy that makes jokes about women in my act. I love women, but it's fun to tease them. Yeah. It's fun to be a little piggy in the mud. I like it.
Yeah.
So I make jokes about women, and the whole Me Too movement was like, his comedy, he shouldn't say that about a woman. And then these same women want to convert to Islam?
Yeah.
The same women that were with their signs of the Me Too are going, now I'd like to be Muslim. It's insane.
And even the ones
they'd be like, free Gaza, and like, shut up, lady. Free Gaza. That's what they're signing up for.
They're actually, even if they aren't converting, they're marching alongside people that think of them as inferior.
They're saying, Jeff, don't make jokes about us, but we shouldn't show our faces, and we should be treated as property, and we should be beaten with sticks if we say things out of turn. Yeah. That's insane. Those are the same people.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Makes no sense. It's not very funny, but it's just saying.
No, that just means it's not. It actually isn't about ideology. It's about power. It's about the need for power.
But also, like you were saying, that maybe people rebel against what their parents make them do.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be dragging these kids, over to the Middle East, and we should be bringing them to drag shows. Then they'll go, I hate drag shows, because their parents forced it on them. Maybe.
Yeah. My parents did that to me, and it didn't work.
Just made you love heels.
Yes.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.